Hi everyone, welcome back to the fourth session of Created. I hope you're having fun so far and enjoying the art techniques that you're learning. So as always, find yourself a nice comfortable spot. I'm sure by now you have the regular place you go to every day. Take a deep breath, try to forget about everything else that's happened in the day. Let's focus on making some beautiful artwork and let's get into it. So the theme for today is empathy. You might have heard that word before, but empathy is basically the ability to understand other people's feelings and to support other people when they're going through tough times. So today what we're going to need is, you're going to need your paper, your watercolor, you're going to need just a basic pencil again, your tape, your brushes, and as always a glass of water to clean your brushes. Okay, so before we get into the artwork for today, I just want you to practice a few basic watercolor techniques. And the painting techniques that I want you to keep in mind for today is painting confidently in clean strokes. That means when you paint a line, you paint just confidently, like that. What I don't want you to do is to take paint and paint over the same spot loads and loads of times, because what happens is you actually start to dissolve the paper if you keep painting over one spot at the same time. If you find that an area is not quite dark enough, make sure you load up some more paint. Then you can paint and it'll be noticeably darker. Or you wait for this to dry completely, then you paint another layer over the top and you'll see that it's darker. So those are the techniques I want you to keep in mind for today. Let's go ahead and tape our piece of paper like we've done before. Alright, now that you have your piece of paper taped up nice and secure on your surface, I want you to take a pencil, and what we're going to paint today is we are going to paint some mountains. And the mountains that are further away are higher up on the page and they're a lighter color, and the mountains that are nearer are darker and they're lower on the page. To give you an example of what our artwork might look like, here's one I did a little bit earlier. You can see here this is a really light mountain and it's the furthest away. Here's a really dark one, which is the closest. So first thing, I want you to just really lightly, as light as you can, draw sort of near the middle of the page, just lightly a squiggle that resembles a mountain. So you can hardly even see mine, but it's just a light mountain shaped squiggle. And underneath that, maybe an inch or so, I'm going to paint one more. Maybe make a bit of more point on that one. And then you're going to paint one more, draw one more down at the bottom. Now you might not be able to see it on my page, but I just have 3 squiggly lines very lightly across my page. Now first things first, I want you to get just a little bit of tissue so that you can dry your brush in case it gets too wet. So here I've got a little bit of tissue, and all I do is I just dab my brush in here if it gets too wet. So like we did before, if you want to paint an area, you need to lightly wet it with water first. So just get a little bit of water on your brush, and now run the brush above the first line that you drew. In one confident stroke, just get this part of the paper slightly wet. Now if it's a little bit too wet, which mine is, I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to brush upwards from the line to wet slightly the area of the paper above it. Doesn't have to be perfect, just get the paper a little bit wet, like that. So we're going to make a sunset behind this back mountain. And the sunset generally goes from a kind of dark pink up to a bluish kind of gradient. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get a little bit of red and just make it really light And what that will do is it'll make a kind of pink color. So take your red, load it up onto your brush, swirl it around on your lid a little bit to get it even, maybe add a bit more water to that. Now I'm going to go ahead and paint the area above the first line. Just remember to do it confidently in one nice uniform stroke, just like that. You can add a little bit more above. Now, like I said, sunset goes from a orangey pink up to a blue. So let's wash our paintbrush. And we're going to now get a little bit of blue onto the brush. Another fun technique you can do, if you take your brush and you clean it completely and you dry it, if you tap your brush, you can blend the colors and take off some of the paint so it looks almost like there's some clouds. And one more color that I like is this one, right next to the blue. Almost like a dark turquoise kind of color. And I'm going to add a little bit of that as well. You're completely free to do this however you like. You don't have to follow my steps exactly. You can do this however you like. Okay, so I'm happy with how my sunrise is looking. Now, difficult part is you have to wait for a few minutes just to get this bottom area to dry so that you can start to paint the mountains. So, take a short break for a few minutes and we'll get right back. Right, so now that we've waited for the watercolors just to dry a little bit, we're going to paint our first mountain. Now remember, like I said, the first mountain is the furthest away, which means it's the lightest color. And we're going to paint it just a light blue color. Now I have a little bit of light blue paint still here in my lid. But before we do that, remember, lightly wet the paper. Just gently wet the paper first before we paint. Okay, now let's go. Remember to paint confidently in single long strokes so that you don't damage the paper. I'm going to get a little bit of blue on my paintbrush. And let's go. Now, what you can do, since the mountains below are darker, you can actually paint all the way down because you can paint a second layer over those and then they'll be even darker. So, lightly paint, you don't have to do this, just an option. Lightly paint some strokes down to the bottom of your page. We'll get back to those later. Now, once again, wait 5 minutes just for this to dry. Okay, now that your paint has dried a little bit, we can come in and paint the second mountain, and we want to paint it darker than the first one because it's closer to us. And what you can do is you can mix in a little bit of green paint to make it look even closer. So, take your paintbrush, load it up with some blue paint, get lots of paint on there, and prepare some paint in your lid just by swirling it around, getting some more water, some more blue pigment, swirling it around, make sure you get that nice and dark. Now we wanted to make the color slightly more green, and I found that this color right next to the blue has a bit of a green tint to it. So I'm going to add a little bit of this color in with the blue, just like that. Once again, we gotta wait. Okay, it's been a few minutes. I've come back. You don't have to wait for it to get completely dry, you just need it a little bit drier. So 3 minutes, 4 minutes, that's all you need. Now the final mountain, we need to make it even darker than that. So we're going to take our brush, we're going to load up more pigment. We're going to get a bit of that, we're going to get a little bit of the blue, mix it in with that one. And I might even take, so this is breaking all the art rules, but I might take just a little bit of black to make it really dark and mix that in there as well. Now, whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and paint the final mountain. So as I look at that, I think this last mountain is not dark enough because you can't really distinguish this one from this one. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to wait a little bit more so that this one dries, and I'm going to just do another coat over this final mountain. Okay, so I'm quite happy with how my mountains are looking. The furthest back one is the lightest color, the nearest one is the darkest. Now just like we can't always see clearly what's happening behind the scenes, we can't always clearly see the mountains in the background. We only see what's in the front, but even the things in the past form part of the whole big picture. So now you have the opportunity to add a little bit of detail to this picture. Now you can choose what you want to do. You can paint a house on a mountain, you can paint a sun, you could do a windmill, you can do whatever you like. I'm just going to go standard and you can follow along with this if you want. I'm going to do a tree up the left side and I'm going to paint some birds in the sky. So for this, what I want you to do is get your thinnest brush, wet it a little bit, get some black paint, just pure black because you want this really to pop and to stand out. And now wherever you want that tree to be, you're going to paint just a line straight down. So I want the tree to go from here to about here. I'm just going to confidently paint a line from the bottom up. There we go. Now I'm going to add just a silhouette of some leaves. Okay, and I'm quite happy with how my tree looks. All I'm going to do now is I'm going to add just a few birds to accent this sunset. And there it is. There is our watercolor mountain landscape. All you need to do now is once again wait for it to dry and we can peel off the tape and get a good look at what we've made. Alright guys, so here's how mine turned out. Really pleased with it. I hope you enjoyed doing that. Remember, as always, you can try it as many times as you like. You have this whole stack of paper. Just make sure you leave a few pages for tomorrow. But have fun with it. Do as many as you like. And I'll see you guys later this afternoon, as always, on Zoom for some feedback and to chat a little bit more about this theme. So, see you guys later.